Happy Monday. Nice to see you guys. Let's find a comfy seat. We'll let our body settle in. Let your spine get nice and vertical. Maybe the eyes close. Breath gets nice and fluid. Slows down a bit. There's this old wooden bridge over this river. This bridge is the only cross of this river for quite some time. Think about kind of the four directions of potential movement here and how each one of those directions offers feedback, offers the opportunity to more deeply align the spine. Let's give ourselves just 30 more seconds here. Just entering into the practice. Eyes are closed. Let's let them softly blink open, receive some light. And with an exhale, we'll let our chin drop down to our sternum. As the chin drops, let the hands slide either to your side or behind you. If that interlace is possible at the sacrum, you can let the hands interlace at the sacrum. If not, just have them back so that we're maybe in line with the back of the sacrum. And then keeping the hands where they are, let's inhale and lift the chin. And we'll exhale and drop the chin. Inhale and lift the chin. Exhale and drop the chin. Inhale and lift. And hold this chin lift for just a cycle of breath. And then when you feel complete, we'll bring our chin back to neutral and you can release your hands from where they are back to a more natural neutral position. Transition ourselves into a staff. So we'll extend the legs. As the legs extend, ensure that you have your props handy. So pillow, bolster, couple of blankets or towels, and a block if you have it. And before we get into any propping, let's just go from staff into a nice little warm up, traditional seated forward fold. Little check in on the posterior chain, a little check in on the sugar consumption. So this bridge connects two old towns. And over the years, the bridge is becoming more and more dilapidated. Last 15 seconds here, maybe a cycle of breath. We'll walk ourselves back into a staff position. Let's take a kind of check in with how our quad is functioning here. So, as you bring this left knee into a bent position, see if you can do that while keeping your kind of 90-degree bend or 90-degree-ish bend at the hip hinge. If this is accessible to you, let's see what it feels like to take that shin back. So we have the tibia and fibia running down into that calcaneus bone at the heel, pointing behind us. And just see what that feels like. For some of us, that's going to put a ton of pressure on the quad. It's going to immediately force us to change our shape. That's happening. Just come out of that and come back into a position where you can use the front of the leg as more of a leverage point. If you can get the leg behind you, then we'll do that. We want the base of the seat to be balanced. We're just going to turn away from the left leg. So we're turning towards the right. If it feels okay, you can take that right hand back of the hand to the small of the back, palm away from you. And then we're going to inhale and lift the chin. And exhale and drop the chin. Inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, drop. Inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, drop. And we'll come back to neutral and then bring the head to neutral. Keep that right arm wherever it is feeling comfortable, and we'll inhale the left arm straight up and overhead. And so we're just trying to reach that left arm without creating an imbalance of weight distribution across the hip girdle. So really think about staying balanced across the belt line. And then we'll relax, extend the left leg. Follow that into a real brief forward fold. And we'll walk ourselves back up into staff. Same check-in on that second side. So right knee bends. Maybe we're good here. Maybe this is where we want to be. If the right quad allows us that opportunity to pin the leg behind us, let's do that. Left arm coming to the small of the back, if that's accessible. And then we're going to turn our gaze towards the left. Inhale, chin lifts. Exhale, chin tucks. Inhale, chin lifts. Exhale, chin tucks. And let's just work through that a couple more times. Eventually, we'll come back to neutral. Inhale and take that right arm up and overhead. The left arm stays wherever it felt comfortable. And we just want to stay balanced across that hip plane. And then we'll relax, extend our right leg. We'll follow that right leg extension into a real brief forward fold. As you're here, just kind of check how your body feels. We are going to take we'll walk ourselves back up in a seat. We're going to take ourselves into a supported forward fold. So you have lots of props handy. Kind of just give yourself the check back in with how far your fold went, how that felt. and ask what would be the appropriate amount of propping. Because this is a restorative yin practice, the holds are going to be longer. We want to be supported. So if a pillow or a bolster and a couple of blankets, or maybe a pillow, a bolster, a couple of blankets, and a block is the right amount of propping, use that. And then just allow yourself to settle in. I know for some of us, forward folds never really feel like they're relaxing, like you are capable of relaxing in them. And so I just want to encourage a continual piling of props so that maybe all you have is a little flexion in the spine and a resting place for your head, right? We want to feel supported here. No amount of propping is too many. Really find your way into a shape where you feel comfortable. And so as the seasons pass, the wood on the bridge becomes more and more weathered, more and more dilapidated, more and more hollow as the bugs and the microorganisms work their way through it. No one really knows who built the bridge, but both towns assume that the other is responsible for fixing it. And so neither town does. And as the years pass, less and less people trust the bridge. Thus, less and less people use the bridge. Until eventually a full year, a full 365 days go by without a single person crossing the bridge. Once that happens, no one ever steps foot on it again. Just my reminder that if you're not feeling comfortable, if you're not feeling supported, shift, move, adjust. Remember that this is a yoga practice, not a torture session. And so finding your way into expansion is our goal. Remember that the breath itself is a tool that helps you expand. The more relaxed you are in the breath, the more capable you will be of expanding. We'll give ourselves 60 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate, we can walk ourselves back up. And the staff. Let the arms just rest upon your prop. It's just gonna be palms up or palms down, but try to find your way back into that vertical spine alignment where you can just relax for a moment. And then we are going to take our biggest props. So if that's a bolster or a pillow, put that kind of knee level. Take one of our blankets and towels, blankets or towels. Take that to towel length and then roll it. So that whatever propping structure we have, we should have a roll that'll go underneath the knees. Our second blanket or towel, we'll take that to a towel length as well, and then fold that in half hot dog style. And you can fold that again hot dog style if you want, but you don't need to. That's going to come behind us, running the length of the mat, so the same orientation as your spine. And then we will kick our knees over our knee prop, bump that second towel or blanket up against your sacrum, and lower yourself onto your spine here. We want the sacrum Seated, resting against the mat, we want the knees, if not lifted, we want them supported so that even if we have a soft, cushy pillow, it's taking some of that pressure load. And then we want the spine just lifted above where the sacrum is pressing into the mat. Make sure your weight distribution is equivalent across the hips. Put your head in a position where your neck is supported. And I don't necessarily mean pressure into the cervical spine. I just mean that there is a solid alignment for the neck, and then maybe let your eyes close. I should note that coming out of that long bout of flexion and into a spinal extension can feel very intense. And if it feels too intense, please remove the blanket from underneath you. So this bridge kind of becomes invisible to the people of these two towns. No one ever thinks about it. No one ever uses it. No one really even looks at it. And because of that, it becomes a really ideal spot for this down on his luck carpenter. He starts living underneath the bridge. And as waterways tend to do, they offer resources. So every now and then, a bit of wood floats by. It's useful, he grabs it. And even he's not really sure why he started. Maybe it was the infrequent rain dripping through, or maybe it was the sunlight that would creep through the bridge boards, disturbing his sleep in the morning. Or maybe it was just to do a good deed, but he starts slowly, as resources come, repairing the bridge. No one ever sees him working. And so both towns start assuming that the other side, the other town, has started their repair work. You want to be able to fully respirate here so that there's a depth to both the inhale and the exhale side of your breath. You want to make sure that that depth is supportive of the shape. The shape is supportive of your body. So that your body is able to relax and recharge. Give yourself just 60 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate, just roll or lift one side so that you can pull that blanket or towel out from underneath your spine. We'll set that to the side. And we're going to keep our leg prop. The goal here is going to be to unilaterally externally rotate our hips. And so we're going to start with the left leg, just bringing the left foot on top of the prop and then angling to have that tibia fibia of the left leg just kind of work right down that prop so that we have an asymmetry figure four, but an externally open left hip and a neutral pelvic bowl. Hands can be by your side, cactus or T, anywhere that feels comfortable, that feels supportive. And so slowly, at times incredibly slowly, the bridge begins to be repaired. A board here, a board there, maybe a couple weeks might pass in between. But people on both sides of the bridge start to notice work is being done. And for a while, these two towns that have pushed so much blame upon one another start to think relatively positively about the other side, as they assume the other side's the one doing the work. Check in on the hip girdle, on the weight distribution, on the respiration, and on the bilateral expression of that respiration. It can sound weird, but as we go into an asymmetrical shape, our respiration can start to get asymmetrical as well. And so really make sure that you're getting that full bilateral expression of lung expansion on the inhale, that really delicate release on the exhale. Just continually staying with that check. Full expansion in the lungs. And we'll give ourselves 60 more seconds on this first side. And we'll extend our left leg so that it mirrors the right. And as the left leg extends, note if there was a shift in your pelvic bowl. Note if the weight distribution changed more than you might have expected. And then we'll do the same thing to the second side. So right foot comes up, and then externally rotate the hip. That tibia and fibia roughly point out the same direction as the prop. And then we just settle back into our breath. One really nice thing about this carpenter's work is that even though he's using scrap wood, right, wood just floating down the river, he's being selective in what he chooses. And he's incredibly talented. So the workmanship going into the reconstruction of this bridge is top notch. And it's impressive. And so both sides see this high quality, top notch work. And each starts to think even higher about the other side. You know, they're going above and beyond. They're not just repairing the bridge, they're improving the bridge. Remember that you want that full expression of your inhale, that bilateral expansion of your lungs. And remember, you want that full balance across the hips. We've got about another 120 seconds here on the second side. Last 30 seconds here. We'll extend that right leg to mirror the left. Note if there's a weight distribution change, if that change is more or less than the first side. And just pause for a moment here. And then when it feels appropriate for you, we can take that propping out from underneath us and we can set that to the side. And just find your way onto your spine. Pull those knees in towards your torso. Give yourself a nice little squeeze. Then we'll release the feet back down to the mat. Heel toe your feet out to the width of the mat and let the knees fall in towards one another. If the knees don't meet or don't feel supported or rested, you can use your block, one of your blankets or towels, or your bolster or pillow. Place that in between the thighs to give yourself a little more support. The ideal situation here is that the lower half of the spine is both elongated and relaxed. And so we're just trying to find some ease there in the lumbar. Both sides of the bridge, both towns, did start to question some things. The workmanship was so good, and yet no one ever saw anyone working. And the repair was taking so long that there started to be whispers on both sides of the river that maybe the other side was preparing some type of elaborate trap. And that's why the work must be being done in the middle of the night. Or that's why the work was always done in secrecy. And those rumors started to spread through each town, independent of one another. We'll give ourselves just 60 more seconds here. then when it feels appropriate, let's bring our knees out to the width of our ankles and then walk our ankles in line with our hips. And just start a little dynamic sway. Be delicate here. We have had the hips in a very neutral, very balanced position. This is the first real lateral movement we've done. We did the external rotation, but we had the whole pelvic bowl neutral. So make sure this movement is conscious and beneficial. Give yourself just 30 more seconds just to explore the range of movement here. And then eventually bring the knees back to neutral. And as you settle into that neutral alignment, ask yourself if there is anything that you might want, that you might need, that you could benefit from prior to Shavasana. If there is, let's offer that to ourselves now. If you have everything you need, if you're ready to settle into some stillness, and allow your body to settle into a shape where you can fully appreciate Shavasana. And so, as you settle into that stillness, each side of this now completed bridge, dare to cross it wearily. People on each side from each town looked at one another and said, best to let the other side go first. Sure, it looks safe. Sure, it looks sturdy, but why haven't they walked upon it yet? Weeks passed, months passed, years passed. No one stepped foot on the bridge. Start to bring some movement to your fingers and your toes. Meanwhile, the carpenter had left long ago. Movement up into your wrists and your ankles, up through your elbows, shoulders, hips, neck, head, eyes, jaw, tongue. Eventually, the entirety of your body will move and we'll bring ourselves into a seat. In the seated space, let your spine get tall, breath get fluid, eyes close. Many, many years down the road, after a relatively gentle spring snowfall, the bridge collapsed once again. No one had ever stepped foot on it in the rebuild. With our next inhale, we'll bring our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that pride can very easily destroy a bridge? And see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening's practice, for taking care of yourself, and for being you. Namaste. Happy Monday, guys. Appreciate the heck out of you. Love the heck out of you. Have a beautiful week. I will be back on Sunday to do another recharge. I'll see you soon. Mwah.